civilian volunteers and protesters who took to their knees before the tanks. And the soldiers at that point said they just could not follow the orders and could not shoot through the crowd. And that's what made this what many people here call a very peaceful and bloodless revolution. There are also choppers that will be flying overhead any second now, dropping confetti on the crowd. There are much less people here, of course, than there has changed. It's now lined with malls, and indeed a light railway has also been built on it. But it's not stopping those that have come here from celebrating and remembering what happened 25 years ago.
Marga, despite this six were accused of being rigged and the widespread corruption within Filipino politics in particular. Do many feel betrayed by the revolution?
Yes, indeed they do. Not just betrayed, but the whole people power memory itself has almost taken on a bittersweet flavor for many Filipinos. It seems that the ball was dropped, they say, and it was one thing to overthrow structure, a political culture of the country that allowed such a leader to even take power and remain there for so long. Now, the management has changed, as some analysts say, but the actual structure that runs the country hasn't. So there has to be a complete overhaul of the political culture, and it's still a work in progress.
Margot, take us live from Manila. Thanks so much for that. Now it's NASA's oldest and most well-traveled spacecraft. Now this shuttle Discovery has blasted off on its final mission. An estimated 40,000 people gathered at Cape Canaveral in Florida to watch the launch. Stephanie Scowen reports.
Booster ignition and the final liftoff of Discovery.
Blasting off on its final journey, NASA's most well-traveled spacecraft heads off into space. This launch marks the beginning of the end of the shuttle era.
Discovery now making one last reach for the stars.
The oldest of the 3 remaining shuttles, Discovery will be the first to be decommissioned after the 11-day mission. Discovery's final journey, though, has been much delayed. It was originally due to take off in November, but was postponed after problems were discovered with the fuel tank. A last-minute technical glitch almost grounded this flight too, but NASA engineers solved the problem with seconds to spare.
Throttling down as the orbiter passes.
The shuttle is carrying equipment for the International Space Station, as well as an experimental humanoid robot. For the remaining 2 spacecraft, Endeavour's final flight is due in April, with the Space Shuttle mission ending next summer with Atlantis. For now, though, all systems are go for Discovery.
Space Shuttle Discovery now in space.
Stephanie Scowen, Al Jazeera.
Toyota is recalling more than 2 million vehicles in the United States. It's the latest safety scare involving the world's #1 car maker. This time, it's to address accelerator pedals that could become trapped in floor mats. Toyota has now recalled more than 14 million vehicles globally since 2009 and faces dozens of lawsuits from owners. Boeing has beat Airbus to a $35 billion contract with the U.S. Air Force. Pentagon officials said Boeing would be awarded an initial $3.5 billion to design and deliver 18 refueling tanker jets in 6 years' time. It'll be the 3rd effort in almost 10 years to start replacing tankers, which date back to the 50s. And in Egypt, political groups are calling for another million-man march in Cairo's Liberation Square. They want military rulers to appoint a new cabinet, lift emergency rule, and release political prisoners. You're watching Al Jazeera. Let's recap the stories making the headlines. The UN and NATO say they'll hold emergency talks on Friday over the unrest in Libya. A joint French-British draft resolution will be tabled asking for an arms embargo, financial sanctions, and a request to the International Criminal Court to indict Libyan leaders for crimes against humanity. Germany is also calling for travel bans to be imposed on the family of Muammar Gaddafi and for their overseas funds to be frozen. This as the Libyan government announced an increase in wages and food subsidies. Well, the crisis in Libya is continuing to affect global oil prices. The world's top oil exporter, Saudi Arabia, is trying to reassure concerned countries, saying it will step in to fill any shortfall. And while that's eased concerns somewhat, the price per barrel for London Brent crude is still above $113 a barrel. Ireland is holding elections on Friday that could unseat the ruling party. Angry over Ireland's collapsed economy, voters are expected to get rid of the Fianna Fáil party. Iraq's government has imposed a curfew in Baghdad before planned demonstrations later on Friday. Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki has urged people not to take part, warning they could be attacked by al-Qaeda. Thousands of people unhappy with the performance of their new government are expected to rally. The hearing of an American security contractor accused of killing 2 Pakistani men has been adjourned once again until March the 3rd. Security was tight at the high security jail where Raymond Davis is being held and where the hearing took place. The case has created tension between the US and Pakistan. Washington insists that Davis has diplomatic immunity and that he should be released. Well, in the US, the Wisconsin State Assembly has approved a Republican proposal to curb the collective bargaining rights of public sector unions. The debate has generated widespread demonstrations. Tens of thousands of government employees oppose the plan. Wisconsin's governor, a Republican, says the measure is critical to restoring the state's financial health. Toyota is recalling more than 2 million vehicles in the US. It's the latest safety scare involving the world's #1 car maker. This time it's to address accelerator pedals that could become trapped in floor mats. Those are the headlines. Riz Khan is next.
Hello and welcome. How powerful is the movement for change in the Middle East becoming as it draws in star power and the shared experience of music for the masses? Throughout human history, songs have been used as the anthems of popular uprisings against despots and dictators. And one rock icon is now doing just that for the Arab world. Yusuf Islam, now recording simply as Yusuf, had a string of platinum hits in the 1970s as Cat Stevens. He's just written and recorded My People, a song inspired by the dramatic political turmoil in Egypt. AlJazeera is bringing you an exclusive look at that song. Take a listen.
My people, see them coming now. My people, can't you hear them shout? My people, every day, everywhere. My people, stop running from. My people, stop stealing from. My people, stop pointing guns at.
That's an excerpt from the song My People, written by Yusuf for the people of Egypt and the rest of the Arab world. And today we ask, how potent is music as an instrument of peaceful social change? Remember, you can send us your questions and comments by SMS or email. Well, joining us now is Yusuf himself, the rock icon who's given us world timeless classics such as Wild World, Father and Son, and of course Peace Train, which he wrote 40 years ago. He's with us from Dubai, where he now lives. Yusuf, it's great to have you back on the show.